What would it look like if we actually got our 40 acres?
In Liz Abuno's eyes,
I wanted an open space.
it would look just like this. A Black, woman-owned grocery store.
I wanted to harken back to an era in time, but also make it timeless with like an elevated modern feel.
40 Acres Fresh Market is at the corner of Chicago and Waller, and it stands out. The metal exterior is bold with 45-degree angle panels and trapezoidal windows.
This place used to look like a prison. It was a Salvation Army thrift store, and it had like a small little entrance. There was no windows. It was just all CMU block. And so one of the things that I had in my mind when it came to design was that you have to open it up.
40 acres means a lot to Hanaya King.
Not only are we getting our 40 acres, but we definitely are getting a mule when we got our meats up in here, and it looks healthy. All of our food looks like it isn't just a look, but it's a real taste.
Abunu's 40 Acres.
Three Sites Podcast, and we back. We back with a breath of fresh air, some good news, something that inspired me, right? I want to talk about, as y'all saw in the video, 40 acres and a mule. Liz Abuna, right? She opened up the first Black woman to have a grocery, not even a grocery, a supermarket. Liz opened up a supermarket in September of 2025, right? The first Black-owned woman store of 5713 West Chicago Avenue in Austin, the Austin neighborhood, right, of Chicago, on the west side of Chicago, right? So she named it 40 Acres and a Mule. I love it. I love it. You know why I love it? First of all, that means a lot, seeing a Black-owned woman opening up the first supermarket, not in that Black-owned woman first supermarket, but in her neighborhood, in her area. She's taking that term, that historical moment that was promised to us, right? That 40 acre and a mule was promised to all the Black folks who was freed, over 400,000 of us that was freed in 1865 after the Civil War, after over 100,000 Black men fought in the Civil War to help us win the war, right? It was the Northerners against the Southerners. The Southerners wanted to keep slavery. They didn't want to abolish slavery. They said it was too profitable for us to pick cotton, to have the tobacco trade, right? So let me tell you a little bit about the origin of what 40 acres and a mule, and why we say we want our 40 acres and a mule, right? Right, let me tell you how it started, right? The origin. In 1865, in January, in Savannah, Georgia, General T. Sherman and Secretary of War Edwin Stanton met with 20 Black leaders. They met with 20 Black leaders to discuss the needs of the newly freed slaves and what they needed. They met with 20 Black ministers, and 11 out of those 20 was born free. They wasn't slaves. So they met with them. And out of that meeting, Special Order number 15 came about. And that was on January 16th in 1865. That 400,000 acres of confiscated Confederate land along the Atlantic coast of South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, North Carolina was a settlement. This was a settlement for Black families that was impacted by the Civil War. They was to get land, to cultivate their land, to begin farming. This would have built so much wealth in the Black community, so much wealth. Things would have been so much different if those Black families was able to keep their land that was promised to them. Each family was going to get 40 acres, and the mule part came later, right? The mule part came later, right? the General Sherman authorized the lending to mules to the settlers. So that's why every black family was gonna get 40 acres and 1 mule. Do you know how much farming, how much agriculture, how much riches we would have had, right? But let me tell you what happened. The promise was broken. People, the promise was broken. They took away their promise, right? After the assassination of Lincoln, President Andrew Johnson overturned Order Number 15 in the late 1865. He ordered that the land be returned to the original white owners, and all those black families that started to have that land, they took the land back. They said, give me that. They took that land back, right? So all those families that started to settle on the land, that started to cultivate the land, right? They took the land back. The promise was broken, right? All this went down in 1865, right? So now, let me tell you the impact of that. The wealth gap went like this, right? We had no land. We was promised that 40 acres and a mule. We was promised so much. If not one ethnicity that was promised, but no promises was ever kept. We was promised 40 acres, right? For what we went through. Don't you know, without the 100,000 black men getting involved with the Civil War, we wouldn't have won, y'all wouldn't have won that Civil War. History would have been changed. But that war turned into liberation for our freedom, for our equality. And, you know, Abraham Lincoln tried to establish that. Abraham Lincoln tried to give us that, right? But old cornball Andrew Johnson, after they assassinated him, overturned it, took the land back, right? So that was a rise of the sharecropping. The racial wealth gap went crazy, right? So this is what I'm saying. The reason why I like why she named it 40 acres and a mule is because we need to take this back into our own hands, right? We ain't getting nothing. We got a lot of promises. All black America and black folks, all we do is get promises. Yo, we promise we're going to take care of you. We promise this. And they don't live up to our promises. She worked at General Mills. Liz worked at General Mills, saved her money, learned the business, and then opened up her own supermarket. You understand me? Let that sink in. Let it marinate. Let that sink in. She called it 40 acres and a mule. That's powerful. We need to get rid of the slave mentality, right? Always thinking that someone else is inferior to us, right? And that we have to, yes, sir, yeah, we don't have to do that. Let me tell you something, right? If anybody out there listening, if you got a business idea, take a chance on yourself. Bet on yourself. If the rent is too high of the business you're trying to do, open up a website. E-commerce. I want every listener up here to have their own website, right? I don't care if you're teaching something, you could offer classes on the weekend, right? Have your own website. It doesn't cost nearly nothing to host your website and your domain. There's website creators. You can go on Fiverr.com, the app, and get website designers to design your website. People, let's take our 40 acres and mule mentality all the way to the top. Keep on rising to the top. Bobby Monster, give it all you got, give it all you got. Yo, ain't no half stepping. You know what I'm saying? All I'm saying is that story made me smile. It made me feel good, right? And this 3 Sites podcast is it's a multi-conversational. We're gonna have some good things, and sometimes we're gonna have some things that ain't fun to talk about. But I'm gonna bring different elements to you. And I want everybody to feel empowered. I want you to, if you got something that you are trying to get into, I want you to get into it. I want you to do it. If you can't afford a storefront, right? Start your own e-commerce website. You understand me? She started a supermarket and called it 40 Acres. You understand what I'm saying? You know? So I want us to feel empowered. I want us to really do it, because when I say we, it can mean any one of us. Black, white, Chinese. I'm not just talking to my black folks. You know what I mean? I'm not talking just to us. You understand me? I'm really talking to everybody, because everybody go through feeling like they need to get more and do more, and not wanting to go through somebody and ask somebody for a raise, and boss man, can I have this? That when I say slave mentality, yeah, I'm talking to us, melanated folks, because we always have to ask somebody for a raise, ask somebody for a vacation, thinking we can't get to the riches. And what I do want to tell you is, when you do get it, when you do make it, help somebody get it. I don't care if it's one person. You help somebody. Don't just get it and make it and then say, okay, too bad, I turn my back. No, you give somebody a Scarface starter kit. You understand me? You understand what I'm saying? Just a little seed money, or a little motivation, or just information. Don't keep it to yourself. You understand me? Because if you know what's going on out here, right, we got to ask for raises. We got to ask to go on vacation. We got to take what they give us. No, let's start our own. Let's start our own. She named her supermarket 40 Acres and a Mule. The promise has been broken. There is no 40 acres and a mule. There's no restitution. There's no retribution. Ain't nothing coming. I want us to start our own and be powerful. You understand me? I'm going to make a change, because if I can get to one person and inspire one person, I did my job. Real talk. If I can inspire one person, I did my job. So that 40 acres and a mule promise has been broken. That was from a long time ago, 1865. Yeah, they tried. And it was a good gesture. It was a good gesture by William T. Sherman, the general, and by Abraham Lincoln, right? It was good. It was, I wish it would have went down. We probably would have had more wealthy families on that Forbes list. You understand me? If you look on the Forbes list, ain't none of that wealth passed down. A lot of people on the Forbes list got money from inheritance. The few black people that's on the Forbes richest list, they don't got no money that was passed down. They first generation millionaires and billionaires. Right? So I want to see that money passed down. I want to see that money like, wow, this such and such granddaddy had that, and now he's able to carry on. So let's get out of that mentality, that slave mentality. That mentality is poison to our community. And if you didn't make it and it's too late for you, reach the kids, man. Reach the teenagers. Give them some game. Give them some guidance. You understand me? It ain't, and that's great. That is making a difference. I don't have to make it to the top, but if I see a youngin and talk to him about real estate and talk to him about opening up and getting business loans and keeping your credit right and owning websites, I want everybody to tap in to their entrepreneurship. Yeah, everybody has something that they love to do, and create a website and a business model around it and start an e-commerce business, if nothing else. If the storefront is too much money, which it is, start an e-commerce website. Mine is 3 3sitesclothing.com. 3SIGHTS clothing.com. I make my own clothes, my own inspirational sweaters and t-shirts that keep you in a successful mind frame. Go there, check it out. You understand me? I come on here, I talk to y'all, I keep it real. You understand me? I keep it raw. I keep it rough. Sometimes I say things you might not like, you might not want to hear. But just subscribe and tune in, because this is going to be a breath of fresh air. So that was a good story to me. I just wanted to share that with y'all and inspire whoever's listening. I want y'all to become entrepreneurs. I want y'all to get rich. I want y'all to be rich, feel rich, think rich. I want you to feel like you don't got to always ask somebody for something to get ahead, because they ain't going to give you nothing. And we got to ask our bosses when we're going to go on vacations. And listen, that's fine, but we need to have a plan to get out of that system. So try it. It's nothing. There's no failure in trying. You understand me? So Liz, congratulations to you. You got your store. I love your name, 40 Acres and a Mule. I'm with it. Let's all get our own 40 acres and a mule and build our independence. And again, that's 5713 West Chicago Avenue in the Austin neighborhood of Chicago. You understand me? And it's called 40 Acres and a Mule. I love it. I love it. So again, thank y'all for rocking out with me. And let's inspire. Let's hustle and let's motivate. 3 Sites Podcast.